Hello folks, welcome back to Trump Story Truth. I'm Donald Standeford, and I'm going to read you a little bit of a story here that I'm trying to teach writing through the story I'm writing having to do with Trump. And I'm just going to put this out there. It's some dialogue. This is taking place in Trump Tower, where the military comes to visit him to ask if he will become president and help them solve this problem with domestic terrorism. There's a problem with the Democratic Party. There's a plot against America, said the general. Well, said Trump, why not just beef up the military and fight? Our military is the best in the world, isn't it, General? Oh, it is, or was. But we have a domestic issue. Not only a foreign threat, but also a huge domestic threat that vastly outdoes any foreign threat alone. I take it you've got both domestic and foreign threat? Oh, sir, we got trouble on all fronts. I'm so surrounded by Manchurian candidates, I can puke one out and fart one out at the same time. That's quite interesting, General, said Trump. Well, my patience for those treasonous thugs has been wearing mighty thin, Mr. Trump. I can certainly see that, General, but you have many resources at your disposal. More than I can shake a stick at, Mr. Trump. Fact is, though, we got resources up the kazoo, but no ammunition to blow into the damn thing. A kazoo? That's right, Mr. Trump. I got enough metal to make a heap on the moon. It doesn't matter to me a bit of good, nor does it do them any either. Trump glanced at the Navy officer in white. A Marine that appeared to be younger than the others sat erect in her chair as if she had been practicing that position in that same seat for an hour. Donald answered their polite nods with a serene smile. How much metal do you need, General? Donald twisted his head towards the shorter man. I tell you, Mr. Trump, I got plenty of metal. It's the blasted rubber gaskets and live fire ammunition I don't got. You're low on shells. And any kind of extra replacement part a fella could think of. We couldn't answer a shot from a zip gun if there was more than two of them shooting at us. Abhorrent and difficult to believe, General. Well, I'm not good at much, Mr. Trump. I do, though, have one thing about me that's sorely lacking in Washington, D.C. I suppose you're going to say integrity, General. Hell, I wouldn't go that far. Don't need to go that far. I'd stop at just saying, I say what I mean, and I always, no matter what I mean what I say. I'd stake my life and honor on anything I said. If I said it, I'd get it done. By Hank, I work morning to night, Monday to Sunday to get it done. I am up to about here with those insincere jackass politicians. It sounds like you have trouble, General. Donald Trump nodded at the quiet officers across from him. What I don't understand is how I can help you out. I'm not any kind of a politician. I love my country, but I'd say I'm getting a little old to be starting a new career. Mr. Trump, we have studied this quandary in all kinds of directions. We don't have many choices, but your name kept popping up almost like it was gold. General, if there's any way in heaven or on earth I can help you out with your little financing problem, I will, but I don't think even I got enough money to make a dent in that military budget. We don't need your money, Mr. Trump. What do you need, General? We need your expertise, Mr. Trump. I have some knowledge of a few things. You want to put up a hotel, maybe an ice skating rink? Want me to help you put a football team together and work them into shape? No, Mr. Trump, it's much more important than that. What is it, General? We need somebody who can drain the swamp of Washington, D.C. Okay, sounds simple enough. What else? We got to get the stock market up, kick all the dishonest money-grubbing bankers out of the country, and replace our federal money system with a new type of currency. Donald's jaw dropped. Is that all, General? Just a couple, three things? No, that's not all, Mr. Trump. It's a good start. I could jabber with you all morning to night and night to morning, and it would be weeks before you had any idea the heap of mess we're in. This nation, I mean. I understand. Donald's voice deepened into a more serious tone. I think I can get a bit of perspective here on your situation, General. I've had my doubts about what's been transpiring amongst the financial institutions lately. General Smith's face relaxed as he sighed almost in relief. I'm glad you have some kind of perspective on our situation, Mr. Trump. Any kind. We've been bouncing this baseball between us for months on end. We're coming up mighty close to the end of our nerves. Oh, you've been tossing ideas back and forth to each other then? What thin and far between ideas we can drum up this late in the game anyway. But I tell you, Mr. Trump, I've got a hell of a spitball in my pitching tool chest. That's about all I got, though, if you aren't the leader we've been hoping you are. You want me to expel half the Congress, get a new stock market for you, put it in, and then turn our entire financial system around from the Fed to, I don't know, General, cryptocurrency, metals? You want me to just start printing Donald bucks? I understand completely, General, what you face from those DC reptiles. I do, however, need a bit more information. General Smith perked up. Why, information we got plenty of, Mr. Trump. A crooked smile crept onto his lips, showing his tobacco-stained teeth. I'll tell you what, Mr. Trump. We got a pile of papers for every question you could come up with. We do, however, need some formal notice of your intentions before we go any further. My intentions? We don't just go shoveling top-secret facts and information to any sidewinder who's asking for it, Mr. Trump. Well, of course you don't, General. You wish for me to decide. Well, that would be a prudent thing to do, Mr. Trump. All we need is for you to sign on our growing institution. Why, then I and my fellow brain partners over there can fill you in on about 100,000 important details, and we can get to work. Donald smiled. Give me a couple of days to think about it, at least, General. Why, of course, Mr. Trump. General Smith seemed indignant. We here been stuck on this Cape duty so long, we got a pile of potatoes all over the kitchen and no way to cut 'em up and cook 'em. Perhaps I can help you with that, General. Well, I hope to God you can, Mr. Trump. So it's mostly about optics then, General. This is later. It's a bit of that, Mr. Trump. It's also a lot of just not working, wanting the people to get all worked up and start rioting in the streets. Oh, I got my nightmares about that. I'm not the only one either having those dreams. Well, General Smith, I don't know exactly how this plan of yours is going to go, but I'll consider your offer. Our request? What, General? It's our request, Mr. Trump, and it's a mighty desperate one. I'll consider your request then, General. Perhaps I might just be able to stand on the sidelines. You know, I could size up the situation and give you some advice. Advice coming from an entrepreneur, of course, not a politician. Advice? The shorter man gazed intently up at Donald, his eyes screwed into tight, curious balls. Mr. Trump, I don't think you understand what we are requesting you do. Okay, General, then tell me the terms I can understand. Mr. Trump, we want you to run for President of the United States. You want what? General, I'm a planner, a builder, more of a construction worker than a politician. That's exactly why we need you, Mr. Trump. I have no special abilities. You're good at picking people to run things. Huh? Yeah. And got a good head for figuring out people. I saw you a bunch of times on that show, the one where everybody likes to say, you're fired. And we need every book written by you. We read every book written by you. And about you, of course. Donald's mouth hung open. Of course. His lips slobbered out the syllables, as if his brain were too tired to concentrate on the words. Of course, General, of course. General Smith cleared his throat. He straightened his already stiff collar. Mr. Trump, he drawled, We need you to run for president. That's the only way this can happen from what I see, what our little think tank has come up with. That's what you said, sighed Donald. That's precisely what I said and precisely what I need. What we need. What this nation, of course, ours needs before it stops becoming a nation and becomes something entirely different, Mr. Trump. We need someone to enter that stinking, slimy swamp water and drag those varmints out. Of course you do, General. Yeah, of course we do, yeah. That's the only way we can come up with to flush out the diseased tissue hanging off those traitors' thick skin. We need you here to assess the situation. It sounds as if you have already done some assessing, General. Oh, we've about wore that section of the carpet out. We in Army Intelligence take pride in our work, even if we aren't as fancy as those three-letter agencies. General, it doesn't matter a bit how fancy you are. If you're working for our nation, its Constitution, and we the people, then it's worth a ton of gold over those who have panache but wouldn't help you out in a jam if you paid them to do it. General Smith closed his lips together tightly into almost a grin. He finally smiled and his face lit up. Mr. Trump, I think you're coming around our way. Oh, wait a minute, General. I haven't decided yet. Well, of course you ain't. No, I have not. This is not your typical request for a fundraiser to help soldiers with PSTD. It's not paying vet bills for working dogs on the job. In fact, this request of yours is like none I ever dreamed of or heard of. It's unprecedented. These are unprecedented times, Mr. Trump. Of course they are, General. Yes, Mr. Trump. Of course they are. Run for president? Sounded funny, really, if you just tossed the statement out without any serious undertones. Mr. Trump, we have a little cleaning up to do in Washington, D.C. Anyway, we thought maybe if you had the time on your busy schedule, you could stop by sometime and run for president. It'll help us out nicely in our spring cleaning. Of course, what they said did ring true. Not at first thought, but many people in history have rejected the most imaginative ideas without a lot of teeth pulling or begging. From what the general had said, you might reach these swamp creatures in Washington, D.C. easier by feeding them with stacks of cash rather than you would any other way. Problem was how spoiled these woke monsters were. No regular person could afford them. Trump himself couldn't afford most of these people, even if he liquidated all he had and stacked up a couple billion in cash. That'd keep some of the people on your retainer a few months. After that, you were on your own. Who could compete with money gotten from laundering schemes into trillions of dollars? Who could lie down more cash for service than a country as huge as China, now entering their biggest phase of development and prosperity in probably 1,000 or more years? Mr. Trump, can I ask you a favor? Sure, General. What do you want now? I could fly to Germany and pick up a bottle of the best beer you ever drank. Now that is something I can do. I can do that well. I'll do it right now if you want. I'll do it myself. Send someone, anyone. Why don't you go, General? You're looking like you could use a vacation. I'm going to end it right there. Tell me what you think, if it's any good or not. Anyway, thank you and have a good day.